Mercedes' controversial engine loophole gave them a secret advantage that rivals believe cost Ferrari up to 0.3 of a second per lap during the 2026 season. Rumors and speculation have swirled since January, but it wasn't until mid-season that the FIA finally stepped in with new rules. But how did Mercedes exploit this loophole, and why was Ferrari so vocal about their concerns? Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur publicly criticized regulatory gray areas in early 2026, hinting at a design flaw or intentional exploitation by Mercedes. Meanwhile, Toto Wolff defended his team's position, arguing that the engine adhered to the original rules and emphasizing the need for broad consensus among teams before any changes could be made. The controversy intensified as rivals lobbied the FIA for action, leading to secret checks on Mercedes' engines. Reports claim these tests revealed a significant performance edge, but no independent confirmation exists of exact figures or hot-running compression ratios. Mercedes reportedly used a temperature-sensitive pre-chamber arrangement within their cylinder heads that expanded under heat, allowing the effective compression ratio to rise once the engine was fully warmed up during races. This design allegedly provided a meaningful advantage over competitors who hadn't adapted as quickly to the changing regulations. As the season progressed, Ferrari remained vocal about the issue, pushing for more transparent regulation and stricter enforcement. The FIA's response came in late May when they announced new rules requiring testing at both ambient and 130° DC oil temperature from June 1st onward. But how did this loophole go undetected for so long? And what will be the long-term impact on teams who missed out on these early performance gains? The story of the Mercedes engine loophole has become one of the most defining regulatory narratives in F1's recent history, sparking debates about rule clarity and fair competition. Amidst the controversy, Mercedes defended their position by highlighting the ambiguities in the original rulebook. The letter of the law is what matters, argued Toto Wolff during a press conference at the Canadian Grand Prix. If it wasn't against any rules as written, then there's no basis for complaint. However, Ferrari's insistence on fair play resonated strongly within the sport. "We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're defending the integrity of Formula One," Fred Vasseur stated in an interview with Motorsport Week. Engine regulations must be clear and unambiguous to ensure all teams compete on a level playing field. The FIA's response was seen as a compromise between these competing viewpoints, but it did little to quell the underlying tensions. The rule changes were met with mixed reactions from the engineering community. Some praised the FIA's quick action in closing what they viewed as an obvious loophole, while others criticized the regulatory body for not being proactive enough initially. As teams rushed to adapt their strategies and designs, Red Bull remained notably silent on the issue. Their engine supplier, Honda, had been closely aligned with Ferrari's stance during the early stages of the controversy. This silence from Red Bull added another layer of complexity to an already intricate debate. Beyond the immediate impact of the rule changes, the wider implications for future regulation drafting became apparent. This episode underscores the need for clearer guidelines, noted Fred Vasseur in an exclusive interview with The Race. We must prevent similar situations from arising in the future. The ongoing discussions within technical forums hinted at a broader restructuring of how engine rules are formulated and enforced moving forward. With multiple stakeholders, including teams and manufacturers, pushing for more stringent compliance checks, the FIA was faced with the challenge of balancing innovation with regulatory oversight. In an effort to address these concerns proactively, the FIA announced a series of workshops dedicated to refining future technical regulations. "We're inviting all parties involved to contribute their insights," said an FIA spokesperson during a press briefing at the Belgian Grand Prix. "Our goal is to establish a robust framework that accommodates both technological advancement and competitive fairness." This collaborative approach aimed to foster a more inclusive environment where teams could voice concerns early in the drafting process, potentially mitigating issues like those seen with the 2026 compression ratio loophole. As the season progressed, it became clear that the repercussions of this controversy would extend beyond immediate regulatory adjustments. The race for technological superiority continued, but now with a greater emphasis on regulatory compliance and ethical engineering practices. Teams began to prioritize transparency in their design choices, recognizing the importance of maintaining public trust and integrity within the sport. Ultimately, the 2026 engine regulation saga served as a catalyst for broader changes within Formula One. It highlighted the delicate balance between pushing boundaries of innovation and adhering to strict regulatory frameworks. As teams looked ahead to future seasons, they recognized that a collaborative approach towards rulemaking would be crucial in maintaining the sport's integrity and competitive spirit. In the months following the controversy, the FIA's efforts to refine its regulatory processes bore fruit. New guidelines were introduced, aiming to provide clearer definitions and stricter enforcement mechanisms for technical specifications. The hope was that such measures would prevent similar controversies from arising in subsequent seasons, ensuring a fair and exciting racing environment for all participants. As the dust settled on the 2026 season, it became evident that the episode had reshaped not only immediate regulatory practices, but also the broader mindset within Formula One. Teams were more cautious about pushing the limits of existing rules, knowing that unintended consequences could lead to significant scrutiny and potential penalties. This shift towards a more cooperative approach promised a healthier and more sustainable future for one of the world's premier motorsports leagues. The legacy of the 2026 engine regulation saga served as a reminder of the intricate interplay between innovation, competition, and regulation in Formula One. It underscored the importance of clear communication, proactive rulemaking, and mutual respect among stakeholders in maintaining the sport's integrity and excitement for fans around the world. The technical forums buzzed with debates over engine compliance as teams dissected every aspect of their power units for potential discrepancies. The complexity and ambiguity inherent in the new 2026 regulations provided fertile ground for creative interpretation, pushing the boundaries of what was permissible under the letter of the rules but not explicitly forbidden by them. Fred Vasseur's frustration with these loopholes was palpable. "It's like a cat and mouse game," he lamented to motorsport.com. "We try to close one loophole only for another to pop up somewhere else." His team's concerns were echoed in numerous corners of the paddock, with other teams quietly investigating their rivals' engines for similar deviations. Beyond Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren joined the chorus of dissent against what they perceived as unfair advantages gained through clever engineering. These complaints reached a fever pitch after Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton dominated the first half of the season, securing pole positions and victories that seemed insurmountable to competitors struggling with the performance deficit. The controversy spilled over into discussions about mid-season rule changes beyond just compression ratios. Teams debated whether to alter qualifying formats or introduce new restrictions on aerodynamic design, all in an effort to level the playing field. Sky Sports F1's coverage highlighted how these regulatory disputes underscored a broader tension within Formula One, balancing innovation and fair competition. One pivotal moment came during the Canadian Grand Prix, when Hamilton's car retired due to engine failure. This event drew intense scrutiny from rival teams, who suspected that Mercedes had stretched their existing loophole further than was safe. The incident temporarily halted racing but reignited discussions about immediate rule adjustments. Mercedes defended its position staunchly throughout these controversies. Toto Wolff emphasized the collaborative nature of regulatory oversight. "When rules are challenged, they're not just there to penalize," he told Motorsport magazine, "but to evolve and clarify for everyone's benefit." The FIA responded with measured steps designed to ensure fairness while avoiding sudden performance drops mid-season. The June rule update introduced testing protocols at both cold and hot temperatures, providing a more comprehensive assessment of actual racing conditions. Despite these measures, the legacy of the loophole remained in question. Some analysts speculated that Mercedes might retain certain advantages through subtle design tweaks rather than full-scale redesigns mandated by new rules. This uncertainty added another layer to an already complex regulatory landscape. As teams prepared for the second half of the season under revised regulations, discussions shifted towards longer-term solutions aimed at preventing similar controversies. The FIA's continued involvement in technical forums signaled a commitment to ongoing dialogue and iterative rulemaking processes. While the immediate controversy had been addressed through procedural changes, the underlying issues of regulatory clarity and enforcement persisted as key challenges for the future direction of Formula One. The saga underscored the delicate balance between technological advancement and competitive parity that governs one of motorsport's most elite disciplines. The FIA's decision to implement testing at 130°C oil temperature from June 2026 was seen as a decisive move to address the ongoing controversy, but it did little to settle the simmering tensions within the paddock. As the season progressed, discussions around technical forums and informal team meetings continued to center on engine regulations and their implications for performance parity. The broader context of the 2026 F1 season was marked by significant regulatory shifts following a complete overhaul in 2024 designed to reduce costs and increase competitiveness. The new rules introduced a single-designer hybrid turbo power unit with strict homologation periods intended to level the playing field for all teams. However, Mercedes's innovative approach to engine design raised questions about how far teams could push the boundaries of compliance without breaking the spirit of the regulations. Team principal Fred Vasseurs' criticisms reflected a broader concern among manufacturers and race organizers about ensuring fair competition despite the complexity of modern F1 engines. His comments underscored Ferrari's dissatisfaction with what they perceived as Mercedes' advantage gained through exploiting regulatory ambiguities rather than outright rule-breaking. In response to these challenges, the FIA emphasized the collaborative nature of their decision-making process. The organization stressed that all changes were made with input from multiple stakeholders and aimed at achieving long-term stability in engine regulations. This stance was met with mixed reactions, as teams like Mercedes argued that any regulatory adjustments needed unanimous support among competitors. The mid-season rule change introduced by the FIA also affected qualifying formats, adding another layer of complexity to an already contentious situation. As per Sky Sports' coverage, these modifications were part of a broader effort to streamline and clarify rules amid ongoing disputes over engine specifications. The changes included tweaks aimed at ensuring more transparent performance measurement and reducing opportunities for loophole exploitation. Despite the FIA's efforts, the controversy persisted, with some analysts suggesting that the full impact of Mercedes' advantage might not be felt until the 2027 season, when new regulations are set to take effect. According to reports from the race, rivals may struggle to close the gap left by the initial loophole period, even after engine rules reset the playing field. The lingering uncertainty around Red Bull's involvement added another dimension to the debate. While some sources suggested that the team had a similar design approach to Mercedes, there was no definitive confirmation either way. This ambiguity fueled speculation and further discussions within technical forums and among teams, highlighting the challenges of maintaining transparency in highly competitive environments. As the 2026 season neared its midpoint, it became increasingly clear that addressing these issues would require ongoing dialogue and collaboration between all stakeholders. Toto Wolff's assertion that regulatory changes needed broad team consensus was a reminder that F1's technical regulations are not merely static rules, but dynamic guidelines shaped by constant feedback from teams. In essence, the compression ratio controversy encapsulated the broader challenges facing Formula One as it navigated through complex technological and regulatory landscapes. It highlighted how even meticulously crafted rules can be susceptible to creative interpretations, pushing all parties involved to continually adapt and refine their approaches.